Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this video, we're gonna take a look at how to create this kind of 3D text effects. It's gonna be using Sverchok. It's not actually particles. This is just this is actually points from this text. And currently, it's kind of like it looks like particles. It's the points wiggling. Basically, it's super simple. We're loading the text into Sverchok and then we disturb it using Sverchok noise. It's probably not particularly interesting, but what's more interesting here is the fact that I can just change this into anything, and if I update it, see the effect is live. We can tweak it as we want. So it's almost like there is a kind of like a interesting thing with a Blender text objects that that works with Sverchok. So I'll show you from scratch. So Blender text objects. The text object is not a curve, but it's not a it's not polygon mesh, but it's a live objects that you can always tweak it, you know, and you can always change it to any kind of font or size. So it has some kind of procedurality that I quite like. Let's say if I want to change the font type into a different font, there's something that should work right away. If I switch to font, Titan one, says it's quite thick font. Says Sushi. Okay, that's a font. That's nothing special. You probably know Blender font, Blender text objects quite quite interesting that way. But if you notice that if I turn this guy into mesh, convert to mesh, and you look at the wireframe, it looks really ugly. I don't like it. There's a better way actually. I show it to you before. If we actually give it a, if we turn this guy into, if we remesh it and then increase the remesh a little bit and then turn off remove disconnected, we actually get a really nice mesh like that. One thing to know that this guy only works if you have extrusion. If extrusion is 0, normally it will not work. Maybe because I have depth here. If I don't have depth or extrusion, it's not gonna work. So depth is that's a good kind of a good workflow. We can actually flatten this guy further, and we can use Sverchok for that. That's actually one of the trick I always wanted to show you. Let's save this real quick. This is Sverchok text deform. So okay, we can have extrusion and we can have a little bit of bevel there in order for this to work. If we go to Sverchok now and create a new node 3 and then load this guy using objects in. Whoop, okay. It tends to do that. Still don't know what's going on. Sometimes it crashes. I'll reload real quick. Maybe it's something to do with the recording, because I usually create like some kind of test before I'm doing live noding, and then I didn't restart Blender and I just turn on the QuickTime recording, and that crashing happens. Anyway, so new objects in. I'll grab these objects. Okay, it's text objects. It's still alive, text objects. And use objects viewer node, viewer draw. Let's have a look at the points. at the moment the points doesn't seems to be correct. It's the points looks like something that comes from the text itself, which is can be handy, but that's not really not what we want. This is, so you see, this is just exactly what we have before. If we just convert the text objects, we need to turn on post modifier, so it's reading the remesh thing, the remesh modifier. So now we get something that's really clean. And if we actually, if we don't want the bevel, we can use remove double here. Remove double. Basically, what I want is just like a flat objects. I'll use edges. So remove doubles. Okay, the distance wrong. Vertices and polygon edge and polygon. With the distance here, I have to make it slightly bigger so it connects. Slightly better. Actually, rather than using the bevel, I think we can use the extrusion. So bevel 0, extrusion 0.001, and the distance 0.002, and then now it should technically, we get a flat objects like right there. And clean mesh like this is perfect for what we are doing. If I bake this, you know, and we have this. This is the original. This is the original. This is a live object. Still, I can turn it to that guy, and then we can update. This is the baked version. But nice thing about this is it has really nice mesh. And if we want to use a Blender on displacement, we can do that. Just use like maybe clouds. It's always perfect for that. And we can use objects and empty. Can displace it that way. Smaller displacement, larger displacement. We have wave effects. If that's the effects that you want, you can do that. You can, of course, still control the effects of displacement. And here's a quick tip. If you use the icosphere, if you don't want to use particles, Blender actually have this really neat way to instance objects. So select this object, select that object, parent it as object, and then select this guy, the master, and then you just go into duplication here under object, and it's called duplicate, so we can duplicate it that way. And the cool thing is, of course, Blender's own dupli is really fast. If we use this using Sverchok, it's not. There's probably kind of a little bit of laggy. It's not optimized for this kind of job, but still, you know, it's something interesting to be able to do this quite easily that way. Let's see. This is the third. We can turn on rotation. Doesn't have many other options. Let's say if you want to have like different scale, I don't think we can do that. So that's what we get. Okay, that's one trick. What's the next one? Okay, with this guy, we know that we can load it. We can turn it into something else. What should I write? Displace. Displace, you know, we can always go back to this guy, increase the remesh, and it's a little bit higher in resolution. So that's really, really handy. 5, maybe too low, but that's okay for now, you know. Back to Sverchok. So we have a clean mesh of text, which is flat, that you can work inside Sverchok. We can do anything here, but I'm just gonna show you things like a quick trick. It's a Voronoi 2D. I might have shown this at some point, maybe in my blog. If you plug in the vertices there and then edges there, you will get this kind of a Voronoi design, which is really interesting, I found. Actually, if we have a higher resolution, you will see that it start to look like spider web. I really like this kind of effects. Sometimes, okay, maybe not too high, maybe just 6. If you want this to be more random, you can use a vector, not random vector, maybe noise. Plug this guy into that guy, and then this guy into that guy. Oh, okay, that's wrong. That's not what we want. We need to kind of just disturb the text slightly. So this original, and then disturb it using vector noise, and plug that in. That's slightly better. You can see the vertices being disturbed. We actually need to, before I do the Voronoi thing, I'll disconnect the Voronoi. We need to investigate the effects of noise into our text. So that's what we get at the moment. It's the noise is too strong, so we have to scale it down. And the way to do that is using vector math. Normally I will plug it here and test it. Okay, that's actually scaling the whole thing. That's not what we want. I will also plug it here, and let's have a look. So this is kind of adjusting the noise, adjusting the strength of the displacement actually. Perhaps you just want to displace it in the z-axis or the x or the y. It's up to you. There's also, I will also plug it down here, and you can see the effects real quick. This will adjust the noise value actually, the amplitude, I mean. So, you know, just a really large wave kind of noise, and then really small one that's disturbing all the points of the text. So all this can be pretty handy. And there is also one more thing. It's if you want the points to kind of slides in the 3D space, you can use vector math and simply offset this guy. So this is always a neat little trick, and you can plug in the frame info there. Now I've done this a couple of times with a vector. 0.02 and then playback. Okay, that's cool. What else we can do? Okay, let's get back to our Voronoi. just plug this guy to Voronoi and then this guy to that guy, plug the edges, and we have spider web. Can't really tell the text at the moment. It's just like a kind of Voronoi flower. Let's see, reduce this, just a little bit of displacement, 3 maybe, and increase it here. Might need a bigger, need more resolutions, and then update it. That effect is still pretty strong. Maybe it should be like 0.2, 0.3. Maybe this should be small. That's probably better. Still pretty strong over here. I think the larger the value is actually better. 100. And then I don't know, I think just you need to play around with that. One. Small value here, large value there. Yeah, I don't know. I think just play around with that. We actually have a nice points there. Let me check. Interesting. So both this one and that one has big effects on this. Apart from the points, you might wanna see the points at the moment looks like this. The points of the text from this guy. Normally, we don't think too much about the points, but we can actually get the middle points quite easily if you want to know that. So that's the current points. Let's create a center polygon. Center polygons. This is really handy if you want to have the center of each polygon. And let's plug in just that guy. Plug that one. And now we should have the center of each point. Sometimes the center feels more regular. That's and then if you use the Voronoi, it might give a better result, maybe. This is the Voronoi 2D, by the way. It's not Voronoi 3D. Maybe one day we get Voronoi 3D in Sverchok or in Blender, but that's a kind of like a wish list kind of thing. Okay, that's not too bad. Back to the points. Get rid of Voronoi. Get this. So this is the center of the text. If I zero out the effects, we should get a. Actually, that's zero out the. I'll zero out the noise. We have this, and with this we can really maybe we can instance some objects there. I'll use the vertices, so I will create a viewer, another viewer draw. This matrix scheme. Use the location of each point. Now I can turn off the points. Plug this in there. Now we can have like maybe a box that we can instance into that guy. Suddenly we have this, and we can make the box smaller. So like I said, the Sverchok might not be optimized for this kind of instancing. However, if you bake it, it doesn't really matter anyway. The most important here is that you can control each and every instance quite easily. So say we use the random. This is the new random number generator. This is one of my favorite nodes now. Thanks to Zevi, we can have this. How many? We actually have 1,462 objects. I'll make 500 for now and plug this into the size. Can I use the size maybe? Or I'll plug it to the scale. I wonder if I plug it to the size, will it work? Apparently it works. 0.02, 0.056, size 1462. I think in Blender, as long the number is less than 10,000 objects, not in Blender, not in Sverchok and animation nodes, 10,000 objects are quite a lot, but Blender can handle quite a lot, like millions, billions sometimes. But since we are working with the nodes, this is an add-on in Blender. It doesn't always, it's not always the fastest, but this will work. See, we get this quite easily. So normally this is something that's not too easy to do. You might need to use particles and then deal with particle noise and scaling. Although of course all this kind of workflow with nodes should basically easily transferable for particles. I think 0.01, 0.02, random number 0.0. This is really handy, really. Random number generator. Should have that earlier. We can play with the matrix rotation. It's totally up to you. But like again, the nice thing about all this is I'm just gonna save this file, export. This is gonna be the gist. This is Sverchok random text, Sverchok text fx001. Save the GIS. What should I do next? Basically, if we change this and update, it should update really fast. Oh, actually I forgot to save as new version. Maybe different text. Snail. Oh yeah, I know. This apparently the remesh is changing depending on the text. Sometimes too much, sometimes too little. So that's something to be aware of. Sharp, maybe smooth. Yep, but it's super handy. You can always go back there and change the text font into maybe digital. Oh, digital is not okay. Digital not too bad. Maybe Fredoka, and then something like that. It's too high, the number, or yeah, that's this is actually a flat looking text. You see, if you feel like curious, you can actually turn this into kind of like a city. Once again, you know, make all of this a different size. Maybe should I do that now? File save as. Maybe as a bonus I can do that, but you know that at the moment the box is not placed on the ground. I can randomize the scale quite easily. Random, if I just use a vector in. How many objects do we have? 1462. Plug this into scale, and it's going to be scale to 0, 0, 0. If I scale it in the Z, it's going to extend like that. If I place it on the ground, maybe it looks more like a building, but I can easily randomize this as well. Actually, use another node of that. So low will be 0.1, 0.2, and then high will be 1.6, maybe 3.7, 7.8. So they're starting to look like a building. How do we put this on the ground? Let me have a think. File CSS. It's actually this box. If we actually oftentimes I need to kind of think how to do this. I think it's something to do with a transform, so it's a move. Vertices vector, vertices move. I think if I plug that in there and this guy in there and this guy in there, no, move doesn't work. actually move actually might work. Vertices and vector vertices there. Just multiply it by 0. Multiply by 1. Multiply by 0.2. Interesting. Basically, I just want to push this guy up a little bit. Currently, the size is 1 unit, so what is this move doing? Maybe matrix apply is easier. Vector. And this is going to be matrix in. Just push this guy up by 1 unit. How weird. How weird. It's no, that's not gonna work. There must be a way to put this object at its pivot, and then we can kind of instance it. No, I forgot. Anyway, you can try it yourself. Basically, we are able to do this now quite easily, and then change the text into anything, anytime. What I might forgot is the length of this 1400 whatever should change automatically, so you can use list length. Just grab this guy's matrix. Just grab this and stethoscope, check it out if this is giving out the total. Yeah, it's giving the total. Okay, so plug this into the count. There you go. Now, no matter how long or how small, update it, it's gonna update really quick and accordingly. So we don't need to see Sverchok, so we can just work like this. XYZ, update, and we can have less update. Cool. And then, you know, because oh yeah, unfortunately we don't have we don't have displacement modifier for text objects. It's a little bit like text. It's a little bit like curve. It doesn't have displace modifier, unfortunately. So we cannot really displace this. But you can use Sverchok to do that. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much what I want to show you in this live noding video. Thanks again for tuning in. If you have any question, just leave it in the comments down below. And thanks again for subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.